Allow me to invoke Standing Order Number 1 to acknowledge and recognize a senior citizen of this country who is seated in the Speaker's Gallery. Allow me to acknowledge and recognize the Honorable Julia Odhiambo, a renowned veteran politician and academician. Honorable Julia Odhiambo, who was recognized by the Senate in the sittings in Busia, had come to Parliament today to pay her last respects to the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga lying in state. An event, as you are aware, Honorable Senators, was moved to Moi Sports Center, Kasarani. Honorable Senators, accompanying Honorable Julia Odhiambo is Dr. Josephine Odhiambo, who has served as Kenya's ambassador to UN in New York. Please acknowledge her in the usual Senate tradition. Thank you and welcome. Senator Danson Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also contribute to this motion. Mr. Speaker, the people of Tana River and myself and family, we want to join the rest of Kenyans in expressing our deepest sympathies, condolences to the family of the late Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Mr. Speaker, a lot of people have said what Raila Odinga did at the national level. But Mr. Speaker, as you know, myself, Professor Kamar, the Honorable Majimbo Kalasinga, the Honorable Mukami, the Honorable Pasaris, we were chosen by this Parliament to represent Kenya at the continental parliament called Pan-African Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to say a few things about what Raila did at the continental level. Mr. Speaker, I have the condolences of the President of Pan-African Parliament, who is the equivalent of our Speaker, and I have shared that condolence message with all of us, the gist of which is to say the Right Honorable Prime Minister was a person who understood the power of negotiation and the power of dialogue for the good of the people. That was the gist of what our Speaker, President Chief Fortune Charumbira, has asked us to convey through the Senate to the Republic of Kenya. This is what the Parliament of Africa thinks of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say more. In 2018, the Honorable Raila Odinga was appointed as the AU High Representative in charge of infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, that is a high position that works across the continent. Mr. Speaker, the High Representative for Infrastructure represents the African Union Commission in very important projects that have continental impact. Mr. Speaker, many people speak about the Lapset project, but do not connect it to the tenure of office of Raila Odinga as AU representative in charge of infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, that was a multi-billion project connecting Lamu Port, South Sudan, and Kenya and Ethiopia along that transport corridor. And the idea was to make connectivity viable and to increase the connectivity within that region. Mr. Speaker, Raila Odinga used his influence to make sure that that project was put amongst the priority projects that was to be executed within the continent of Africa. He also went a step further. Mr. Speaker, they made sure that the African Development Bank and the AU NEPAD mechanism for funding became available for that project to take off. Mr. Speaker, that's not the only project he championed. He also championed for super connectivity in terms of digital connectivities. He had a vision to create a super highway connecting Africa so that business can be done more cheaply across the continent of Africa. Mr. Speaker, Raila, in his capacity as AU representative, High Representative for Infrastructure, he championed the creation and the push to have a Trans-African continental highway so that somebody who lives Cape Town can be able to go all the way to Cairo, or somebody who lives Lagos can be able to cross all the way to the port of Mombasa. Mr. Speaker, these are some of the few projects that were associated with Raila when he served at the continental level. And Africa honors him today, and this Senate honors him today. Mr. Speaker, finally, I wanted to say that in his capacity at the local level, Raila has taught us that you can have the smallest position and make it count. He was just the deputy director of the original Ford, but to date, we don't remember who was the chairman of Ford at that time because of the influence and what he did with that position. He was the first minister, Mr. Speaker, who was able to go out as the Minister for Roads and Infrastructure. He taught Kenyans that ministers are not supposed to be staying in Nairobi in their big offices. He was the first minister who would go to roads, inspect the project, and hold those people who are given those contracts accountable. And we saw it for the first time. And ministers after that followed. He made those offices to count. We say in our tradition.
1 minute.
We say in our tradition that we don't praise people who pass on, but we learn from them. He taught us that any position, it is how you use it. You can be a clerk in the office of the DC, but be as effective as the pastor in the church or as the local MP. So let us, as Kenyans, work to emulate what he left us behind. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Agnes Kavindu.